past 9:05. Let's go ahead and get started, guys. So we're gathered here today to go through 25 practice questions. The questions come from the Total Testers Training Hub, which is the online bank of test questions. So I'll read the question out. All I ask is that you don't blurt out the answer or the letter. Just announce that you're ready. And once we get a couple of folks that are ready, then anyone really can go ahead and blurt it out. I encourage discussion while we're going through these, so don't be shy. And at the end, we'll go back through and review our answers and see how we did. All right, so this here that you see now, this is the website where you can get audio content for study material. The book, the audio, you can sign up for boot camps. We do those at least once a quarter. And we even do like online quiz competitions and individual training. If I can bring up my doggone questions here. So if you're just joining us, we record these sessions. So if you don't want me to use your name, let me know, and we'll use an alias, or I just won't use a name at all, because we post these recorded sessions on YouTube. So if you've missed any, we've got 4 uploaded there now. You can just go to YouTube and search for CyberSecStudy. And now my darn thing's not going to open up. Good grief. All right, took some work, but here we go. All right, so we'll go through 25 questions covering all 8 domains. All right, and again, I'll read the question. Don't blurt out the answer. Just let me know that you're ready. And all right, so question number 1: if different user groups with different security access levels need to access the same information, which of the following actions should management take? Again, just announce that you're ready when you think you have an answer. Any takers? Everybody stumped on this?
I'm ready.
I'm ready. I'm taking a guess.
All right, anyone, go for it.
I think B.
Yeah, I'll go for B too.
Bravo. Let's see, we've got different user groups with different security access levels access the same information. I'm actually leaning towards Delta, increase the classification label, although I don't really like any of these, quite frankly. Another good point a friend of mine just told me about earlier was to don't try to find the correct answer, identify the incorrect answers. So alpha, we know, decrease the security level in the information. That one's not right. Let's see, Charlie, increase security controls on the information. That's not too bad. Delta, increase classification labels on information. Actually, I think I'm going to go with Charlie, increase the security controls on the information.
But would they still not need approval though to access this?
Yeah, but that to me, that could be a correct answer, but I think this one is a little better, because if you have to approve access every time, that's going to be an administrative nightmare, requiring specific approval each time individual needs access to information. That would be a nightmare. So yeah, I'm for that reason, I'm going to go with Charlie. But if I'm wrong, we'll see on the back end, and you guys can tell me all about it. All right, number 2, what is the network time protocol, and why is it important in security assessments?
I'm ready.
Man, did you read all the answers?
Yeah. I remember we had this one the other day.
Yeah, I think we did see this one before. All right, we'll wait for a couple more folks.
Ready.
All right, what do you got?
Delta.
G.
Delta. I concur. Anyone else disagree? Yeah, I think this one's pretty straightforward. We've seen this one before. Client server, definitely your clients are going to connect to the time server, and that way your audit logs will have an accurate timestamp, and that is very important. Question number 3, what is it called when an algorithm produces the same hash value for 2 different messages? This is a new one, but this is directly from our CyberSecStudy content.
Ready.
Should be a layup. Anybody else?
Ready.
All right, go for it.
G.
B.
Bravo.
Oh,
B.
yeah, B. Yeah, I'm sorry.
I think I'm hearing
Bravo.
Bravo and Delta.
I think Bravo.
Yeah, me too. A hash collision is what this is called. If that's wrong, then I will disagree. All right, question 4. The preservation of a secure state in the event of failure is referred to as. You want to, if the system
Ready.
fails, you want to preserve a secure state. All right, anyone else?
I'm ready.
Go for it.
Alpha.
Alpha.
Yeah.
Self-secure. Yep, that's pretty easy. Number 5, which of the following is not a characteristic of a counter-based token device? Counter-base is a synchronous device. A non-synchronous would be based on challenge response. And remember, it's not a characteristic.
Ready.
All right, anyone else? No one else is ready?
I don't even know.
All right, go for it. Whoever's ready.
Charlie.
Actually, counter is based on synchronization. Asynchronous would require challenge response, but synchronous is either time or a counter. So that does say time synchronization. Oh, generates a one-time password.
I think A.
Yeah, I'm not sure it generates a password. It generates a token that could also require a password for, dual factor authentication. Here's a secret key.
I'm guessing A too because it's looking different from the other 3.
Yeah.
That's my guess. I'm going for my guess. So.
Yeah, I think I will agree with you on that one. But we'll see what happens. Number 6, which of the following would be considered restrictions of a hierarchical database structure? restrictions of a hierarchical database.
Gotta be a database expert here. Ready?
Anyone else? All right, go for it.
Delta.
1 and 2. To be able to access a certain key entity or data entity. Yeah, I think that those two are opposing answers. So I wouldn't select those together. I'm actually leaning towards alpha 1 and 3, but I'm not 100% certain. Anyone else?
Same here.
Say again?
I'm leaning to alpha because I'm leaning to alpha too. The same logic because I'm just trying to eliminate the others. That's all.
Yeah.
The way
Yeah.
they
I think 1 and 2 are opposing answers. So I'm not going to select them together, but yeah, I'll take the hit for it if it's wrong. Number 7, in a relational database, which of the following represents the table rows? We've seen this one before. This is a layup. The rows and table is a group of rows and columns of information. Your rows usually have your well, I'll go ahead and give it. Usually have your records or the unique items, and then the columns usually have attributes about those records. Any takers?
I'm ready.
All right, shoot.
You just said it too. It's B.
Yeah, Bravo. I mean, it could have been Charlie, but it is Bravo. Rows are referred to as tuples. Records or tuples is the keyword that you'll likely see. Number 8, the World Wide Web is a blank network that is an overlay on top of the internet. Yeah, I think this is pretty simple. Any takers?
I don't think you're Charlie.
I think it's A.
Is this a trick question? I don't know. Seems like
This is a tricky one, yeah.
Yeah, the World Wide Web sits on top of the internet. The internet is the physical connection of all the wires and cables. The World Wide Web is the, I'm going with alpha, the virtual network
Yeah.
that overlays. It's definitely not trusted. It's definitely not private.
yeah.
And analog has anything to do with it. Gonna have to, has to be virtual, but we'll see. All right, number 9, administrative controls include all but which of the following? Administrative controls.
I'm ready.
Anybody else?
I'm ready.
Yeah, this comes directly from our course material. Go ahead.
Alpha.
Anybody else?
I was thinking it's B.
Anyone else?
I think B.
Yeah,
Bravo.
gotta be Bravo. Audit trails, that's a technical control, not administrative. Mandatory vacations. Why would an organization have mandatory vacations for employees?
It's to detect fraud or like collusion.
Yep. So you put someone else into that role when that person's out, and the new person can identify the processes and usually see if the person before them was committing fraud. They could also identify more efficient and effective methods for implementing those processes. Number 10, the wireless standard 802.11 has matured over the past decade. Which two provisions have been most widely adopted?
I'm ready.
All right, go ahead.
I think it's A. I'm not really, to be honest, I'm not sure. I think it's like A or C.
Yeah, I'm not sure either, but 11G seems like the latest one to me.
Yeah, because I thought a lot of people use N and AC now, but I guess it has to be like something with G on there.
Yeah. I don't like the Alpha and Bravo there though, but yeah, rather than going for Alpha and Charlie, I'll go ahead and go for the Bravo and Alpha. Heck, my 10-year-old neighbor would know. He knows these hardware specs like better than anybody. But let's go ahead and try that one and see what happens. Number 11, Tom has led a research group in deciding upon the type of access control that should be used in the product their company is planning to develop. Which of the following is the best reason why the group decided upon rule-based? We've seen this one before.
Your screen's gone.
I'm sorry, I think I clicked something. I was trying to full screen it and I don't know how to cancel it.
You caused that problem?
Yeah, I think that was me because I was trying to click full screen. I actually clicked share my screen, so.
That should. I mean, you're not. I don't have you listed as a presenter here, so that shouldn't. But hey.
Well, that was definitely me. I clicked share your screen.
Yeah.
I guess
Breach here.
Okay.
Now I'm full screen. I didn't know it's on the right side. Okay, I see.
All right. Yeah, we did see this one last time. Any takers?
I'm ready. It's D.
Yeah, rule-based access control versus role-based access control. Both of those are types of mandatory access control, as where you have a central authority, as opposed to discretionary access control, where multiple individuals can determine access decisions for how subjects access objects. But for rule-based, imagine creating a bunch of rules just like a firewall to determine how subjects can access objects. You can make them pretty complex or make them handle pretty complex situations. Number 12, which of the following is not an example of due care? I think we've seen this one before too. Or something similar to it.
Yeah, ready.
Ready?
Okay, go for it.
Delta.
I go for Delta too.
Delta.
Yeah, I think this one's pretty obvious. Delta. Number 13, which of the following best describes a centralized repository of information about data, such as meaning, relationships to other data, origin, usage, and format. Centralized repository of information about data. In our course material, we say data about data, and that's a keyword that'll point you to this
I'm
answer.
ready.
Ready?
Go for it.
Zay.
Alpha.
Alpha. Yep.
You just said that tip, and I was like, yep. I know it's not.
Straightforward. Number 14. Alice needs to hire a third party to conduct a test of her company's security posture. If she needs an independent comparison against statutory requirements, which of the following services should she select? Independent comparison of statutory requirements.
I'm ready.
All right, go for it.
I'm going for B.
Bravo or Delta?
Bob.
Bravo.
Anybody else? Yeah, we've seen one similar to this one.
Charlie.
Yeah, I'm thinking Charlie.
I think Charlie.
It says
Oh yeah, that's
I think statutory
statutory requirements. Anybody know what DSS stands for?
it's like defense system security or something. Defense.
PCI DSS, the Payment Card Industry Data Security Standard. It's
Correct.
it's where Visa, MasterCard, Discover Card, they all came together, developed a set of regulations where they self-regulated their industry. They didn't look for the government to do it for them or to force them to do it. Number 15, what is the first step that should be done when a fire has been detected?
Ready?
Ready?
Ready.
I'm ready.
Go for it.
Charlie.
Charlie. Yeah.
Charlie, I agree.
Yeah, you guys are hip to this one. It's always any question that talks about potential harm to people, always save the people. You would think that by activating the fire suppression system, you might be protecting the people, but if an answer says anything about protecting the people, do that first. Fire suppression second. Number 16, what needs to take place for an environment using X-TACACS to be compatible with an environment using TACACS Plus? And we've seen some questions similar to this, and we've learned a lot from these. Any takers?
Yeah, I'm just gonna guess. I'm going with Bravo.
Anyone else?
I'll go for Bravo too, I guess. I'm not really sure.
All right, yeah, the correct answer is actually Delta. There's no interoperability between them. They're totally different protocols. I originally thought that the first one was TACACS. They added additional functionality and created X-TACACS, and then they created more functionality on top of that one and came up with TACACS Plus. But that is not evidently not the case. They're totally different protocols and they're not interoperable.
Trick question.
Number 17, Nancy is a new network administrator and has been faced with decision of implementing either direct access backup systems or sequential access backup storage devices. Which of the following does not properly describe these types of technologies? Direct access backups or sequential access backups? So direct access, it sounds like random access. Sequential sounds like a tape backup where you've got to go from the beginning of the tape to the end until you find the data you're looking for.
I'm ready.
And remember, this one is which one is not properly described.
Oh,
I'm ready too.
I was better off. Okay. All right.
I'm going Charlie.
Yeah, Charlie.
Yeah. Hold on just a second. I know delta is a true statement, so that's not the answer. Alpha, I believe, is a true statement. That's not the answer. Anyways, let me look at Bravo. Now, for Bravo, it says any point on a sequential access storage device may be promptly reached. I don't believe that's a correct statement. Alpha, where it says any point on a direct access storage device may be promptly reached. I think that is a correct statement. Sequential is not prompt. You've got to go through the whole tape drive. Yeah, I'm going to have to go with Bravo, guys. But yeah, we'll see on the back end. All right, number 18. Alice needs to hire a third party to conduct a test of her company's security posture. If she needs an exhaustive enumeration of her company's vulnerabilities for prioritization of mitigation, which of the following services should she select? We've seen a similar one to this one. We've seen this exact one before in the past. We just had another question tonight, almost worded verbatim.
Ready.
Any takers?
Bravo.
Yeah.
Actually, correct
I
answer,
think Alpha.
Alpha.
Right.
It says enumeration of her company's vulnerabilities for prioritization of mitigation. That's definitely going to be vulnerability assessment. I wish I would have said vulnerability scanning. Yeah, we've seen this one before. Right, number 19, information has a life cycle. Which of the following best describes or best defines the stages of this life cycle? All right, go for it. Anybody else?
Yeah, I'll go for Bravo too. It has to be something.
Yeah, I'm thinking probably acquisition use. You don't want to, after you've used it, you don't want to get rid of it right away. You want to archive it for a while and then dispose of it.
Yeah, I'm thinking Alpha.
Yeah.
Again.
Okay.
We'll see.
Number 20, which of the following roles does the system owner play in asset protection? System owner.
I'm ready.
All right, go for it.
I'm going for A, I think.
Alpha. Now, a lot of these questions, people will mix up system owner versus data owner.
Oh crap! You're right. Now that you just do that, that's the exact same thing.
I'm going Delta.
Yeah. So labeling data, that would be the data owner's responsibility.
Yeah.
Alpha. Bravo, ensuring that the necessary controls are in place. That would be more of a security role, but could be viable. Charlie, implementing such controls as far as definitely not going to be, well, system owner, well, they're not going to be implementing. The owner's not going to be implementing anything. He may make the decisions, but he's not going to implement. But then in Delta, performing regular backups,
I thought that was the custodian. I'll go for B then.
yeah, they're going to ensure that that things happen. They're not actually going to be performing things. So for that reason, I agree with you. Anybody have anything on that one? All right, we'll see. 21, Dan is going to send sensitive data over a potentially compromised network link. Which of the following technologies is least likely to help him ensure that the data is not intercepted in transit? Which of the following technologies is least likely to help? Okay. Yeah.
Charlie.
I think this straightforward. Any takers?
Charlie.
Anyone else?
Alpha.
Yeah, I'm thinking Alpha. Secure socket layover was replaced by transport layer security.
Yeah, TLS.
So I think SSL is the weakest one here. 22, Thad is a microprocessor engineer who makes a one-time programming change on a memory chip. Because of the particular chip type, he is only allowed that one change. What type of memory chip is Thad using? Well, I do not know, but I can guess. Anyone else?
I'm gonna guess Delta.
Yeah, I was gonna say Delta too.
Can flash memory be changed? Flash memory.
My guess is Bravo.
Yeah, I'm thinking Bravo. PROM, I would imagine, can't be programmed, can't be changed. EEPROM, I'm just guessing, might be able to be changed, but just once. And EEPROM may be able to be changed multiple times. But yeah, we'll see on the back end. We'll learn something from this one. Number 23, if a company has been contacted because its mail server has been used to spread spam, what is most likely the problem? Its mail server has been used to spread spam. Any takers? I'm not going to overthink this one. I'm going to take what they present. What's staring me in the face? Anyone?
I'll take guess. Air.
Yeah, I'm going to say Alpha. The internal mail server has been compromised by an internal hacker. All these other ones seem pretty elaborate, but the question says that mail server has been used to spread spam. I had a computer in my home that was compromised and was sending spam, and NCIS came and raided my home with guns and everything. And took every computer out of my house, did forensic analysis on everything for 6 months, and came back and said, yeah, one of your computers was hacked.
Yes, that's not fun.
All right, number 24, Alice knows Bob's IP address at OSI layer 3, but not his MAC address at layer 2. In order to frame her IP packets to send them through the switch, she broadcasts an address resolution protocol, ARP, who has request for his MAC address. Bob's system dutifully responds with his MAC address. Meanwhile, Eve sees Alice's request and sends her own response telling Alice that Bob's IP address actually maps to her MAC address. What nefarious activity is Eve engaging in, and what might be the result? Let's see. Alice is sending a request for Bob's MAC address. Eve intercepts that request and then forwards on or replies with a message saying that her MAC address is Bob's. That sounds like spoofing.
Yeah, so
I'm seeing man in the middle, eavesdropping, and spoofing. What are you saying?
Charlie, C.
Yeah. Yep. So we've got keywords we have here in alpha. It's flooding. That would be denial of service. Bravo cache poisoning. That may also be a denial of service. ARP impersonation, ARP spoofing. Spoofing is the key word here for this one. And then 25, recovery strategies are pre-established and management-blank steps that should be put into action in the event of a disaster. Recovery strategies are pre-established and management-blank steps.
Alrighty.
Ready.
Ready.
All right, go.
Alpha.
Alpha.
Yeah, no alpha.
Yeah, I saw a question like this before, where I felt like managers direct. They don't implement, but they direct the implementation. But we were wrong, and it was approved. Managers approve these things, so let's see what happens. Anybody think we passed? Pass or fail? I think we did pretty good. Let's see.
Borderline.
Yeah, all right,
Wow.
borderline. Yeah, you're right. You're right on it. So we just barely passed, but let's see what the results look like. All right, number one, if data is going to be available to a wide range of people, more security should be implemented to ensure that only the necessary people access the data and the operations they carry out are controlled. So increase the security controls on the information. Yes, right on that one. NTP, we agree that NTP provides a hierarchical architecture for client-server time synchronization, which is critical to ensure that logging or audit logging activities perform multiple disparate systems provide records with consistent timestamps. Collision strong hashing algorithms should produce a small number of or no collisions. Two hashes created for two different messages should be different and not the same. So imagine you type a message, I like money. And you have another message, I'm going to the beach. And you hash both of those messages individually and they come up with the same hash value. That shouldn't happen. And that's considered a hash collision. Remember, a hashing function is a one-way function. This was pretty straightforward. A system that enforces a fail secure state ensures that the system rolls back to a secure state if a security breach were to occur or if the system fails. Let's see here. Which of the following not a characteristic of a counter-based? Hey, somebody guessed this one correctly, and we went against you. I was always under the impression that synchronous communications were either time or counter-based. So let's see, there are two types of synchronous-based token devices, counter and time, okay? Counter-based means that the authentication service and the token share the same list of access codes and secret keys. The secret key is used to encrypt the access code, which is the one-time password the user enters for authentication. Yeah, okay. So it's considering that one-time code to be a password, and I don't like that, man. Those are different. A password and a passcode is different from a passphrase, but okay. We guessed right on this one. Restrictions of a hierarchical database. The hierarchical structured database is one of the first types of database models created, but is not a common or as common as relational databases. To be able to access a certain data entity within a hierarchical database requires the knowledge of which branch to start with and which route to take through each layer until the data is reached. The rows of the table represent records or tuples, and the columns of a table represent the attributes of those records or tuples. The World Wide Web and the Internet are two terms commonly interchanged as the same thing by the average computer user, but they are not the same thing. The web exists on top of the Internet and is a series of pages connected to one another by hyperlinks, whereas the internet is the actual physical routers, switches, cabling, all that stuff. Audit trails are controls that exist within devices and are thereby considered technical or logical controls. Remember that technical controls are also referred to as logical controls. I use the phrase TLC, technical logical controls, to help me remember that. Yeah, we guessed right on that one. Good grief. 802.11b enforces an 11 megabits per second data rate, 2.4 gigahertz frequency band, and direct sequence spread spectrum. 802.11g was ratified in 2003 to offer backward compatibility with 802.11 Bravo in the same network. That is a little more technical than I think we should have to go. But so rule-based access allows a developer to define specific and detailed situations that controls when a subject can or cannot access an object and what the subject can do once access is granted. Rule-based access control has been used traditionally in mandatory access control systems where there's a central authority as an enforcement mechanism of the complex rules of access that MAC systems provide. But today, rule-based access are being used in other types of systems and applications. Number 12, allowing key job functions to be, the separation of duties ensures that no one individual carries out critical tasks alone. That was pretty easy. What the heck? No way. A data directory or a metadata repository is a centralized repository of information about data. So I don't understand. Well, I've never heard of a data dictionary. A data dictionary is the same as a metadata repository. Relationships of other data origin. It is a tool used to centrally manage parts of a database by controlling the metadata within the database. Yeah, I mean, metadata is our key word here, but for some reason they don't put a dash in between meta and data as if that makes a difference. But guess what we learn here is a data dictionary. Goodness, I'm used to referring to that as a metadata repository. But okay. Yeah, this one dealt with regulatory audits. That was pretty easy. Always advise human life takes precedence over any other item, especially material items. Although the other answers are important steps to take in this type of situation, the first step is to warn others. And this test, I mean, this question I think is on every exam or some variation of it. TACACS Plus is really not a new generation of TACACS and TACACS or XTACACS. It's a brand new protocol that provides similar functionality and shares the same naming scheme. Guess correctly on this one. Any point of sequential access storage device may be promptly reached. Yeah, I won't read through all that stuff, but this one dealt with the difference between direct access and sequential access backups. This one's similar to what we saw before. Vulnerability assessment seeks to exhaustively enumerate all possible vulnerabilities for prioritization of mitigation. We guessed right on this one. Acquisition. What did we get one wrong? Acquisition, use, archival, and disposal. Ensuring that necessary controls are in place and have been assessed for vulnerability. Yeah, we're up against the fence. So this one, labeling data, that's for data owner. Implementing and performing, those are things that owners don't do. Data classification is a responsibility of its owner and the data owner. The implementation of controls is the responsibility of the security administrator. The performance and maintenance of backups is the responsibility of the data custodian. Data custodian implements those backups and access control based on how the data owner classified the information. All the options presented are intended to protect data in transit through encryption. However, SSL is specifically depreciated because it has many known vulnerabilities and thus should not be used. The latest version of TLS should be used instead. And we were guessing on this one. Programmable read-only memory. Programmable read-only is a memory type that can be altered only once. Microcode can be manipulated using a PROM program, but only once. Erasable or programmable read-only memory and elastically erasable programmable read-only memory can both be altered over and over again. Okay, all right. We learned something here. 23, internal mail server, or the mail server has email relaying enabled and misconfigured. Whatever, man. Spammers.
Yeah, that too. It was A or C, but I thought it seems like it would be A.
Yeah, I don't like this one. Spammers will identify the mail servers on the internet that have relaying enabled and are wide open, meaning the server will forward on any email message it receives. Okay. Why ARP cache poisoning? The heck? So you implement ARP cache poisoning to spoof another computer's identity. Eve's additional response arriving after Bob's true one is likely to be cached by Alice's system, resulting in her system sending frames destined for Bob to Eve instead. Eve's system, knowing Bob's true MAC address, will likely forward them on to Bob, making Eve a man in the middle. Yeah, I don't like this at all. I don't like that one at all. That doesn't explain why cache poisoning is, I mean, spoofing is cache poisoning is what you do to implement spoofing, so whatever. Yeah, management approved steps for that one. All right, not too bad. Learned some things, we don't like some things, but good experience either way. All right, guys, anything to follow up with? Questions or comments?
So we're meeting Saturday, right? Or you're still doing this work?
Yeah, Saturday at noon Eastern Standard Time. Till then, all right, guys, take care. Have a good night.